The Steet Ponte Auto Group in Yorkville and Herkimer and Turnbull Insurance Service since 1866 present Mohawk Valley Living, exploring the arts, culture, and heritage of our region. A special good morning and happy 10th anniversary to Abby and Frank in Oneonta. We start today's show at Spring Farm Cares in Clinton. We're going on a nature walk with Matt Perry, the sanctuary's resident naturalist. He has been working on the 250-acre nature sanctuary with the goal of preserving and restoring the natural habitat.
We're about 15 years into the reforestation project. We've also done a wildflower and herb restoration, taking all native species that you would have found here if you visited 220 years ago before the area was settled, but now has disappeared mostly because it was all cleared. You know, swamps were drained and the forests were cut down. Well, we've upped the number of native species that can use the habitat to breed in. So our bird list has gone up, our amphibian list has gone up, so we've had a lot of successes. We're not immune to losing species though too, but mostly when we lose something, it's not due to our habitat, it's due to other problems in the environment. If we think of birds like the neotropicals, the ones that also rely on migrating to the tropics, there's all kinds of problems they run into which are not related to what we do here. We might develop the most perfect breeding habitat for them here, but if they don't have the corresponding perfect wintering ground in Central and South America, then you can't, there's only so much you can do. Well, I think preserving the native diversity is really important for, even if you don't care about birds, if you really don't care about insects, if you are interested in eating food, if you're interested in breathing air, if you're interested in having some kind of wood still available, then safeguarding that biodiversity is very important. It's like safeguarding a vault in a bank. I mean, it's something that we really, whether we know it or not, we can't live without it. There might be certain compounds that we need for medicines in that forest. In the future, things that we don't realize we need yet. Some insects, whether we know it or not, perform really important tasks, whether it's pollination or some bird that you may have never heard about might keep some blight in check, which would kill some important tree that we rely on for timber. It's incredibly complicated. So what we're doing here is helping to safeguard that biodiversity, that regional biodiversity, in a way that will someday, hopefully, people will recognize that it's useful. We can make an impact by, in a way, being like a seed bank, being an island of diversity, that in the future we will have the seeds, we will be able to take divisions from the things that we saved and that we preserved, we can put them someplace else. So hopefully we can be useful in that way, and also as examples. You know, people can come and see, oh my God, this is what it looks like, you know, when you really care for your environment and when you provide habitat for all these species, and they can be encouraged and inspired just by the nature itself.
If you would like to tour the nature sanctuary with naturalist Matt Perry, call the Spring Farm Cares office at 737-9339. You can also follow his monthly nature article in Mohawk Valley Living magazine.
Cheeks as red as a blooming rose and eyes of the deepest brown. You're the darling of my heart. Stay till the sun goes down. Shady Grove, my little love. Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my little love. I'm bound to go away. Well, I wish I had a big fine horse and corn to feed him.
Pick up the September issue of Mohawk Valley Living magazine, featuring the last chapter of Peggy's Our First Year in Coldbrook, Matt Perry's nature article, an interview with musician Kayla McMahon, a new MV crossword puzzle, artist Tim Rand, and much more in the new issue of Mohawk Valley Living magazine. Available for free at over 200 local mom-and-pop stores and restaurants, and always available online to view or download at mohawkvalleyliving.com. The Steet Ponte Auto Group is proud to bring Mohawk Valley Living to you each week, serving the Utica area and the Valley with outstanding customer service. In Yorkville at Steet Ponte Ford Lincoln Mazda, Steet Ponte Volkswagen, and Steet Toyota Scion. And in Herkimer at Steet Ponte Chevrolet. Stop in and see why it's so easy to do business with Steet Ponte. You go the extra mile for your small business and should expect the same from your insurance company. For over 140 years, Turnbull Insurance Service has been committed to local small business. For your commercial coverage, turn to the company ready to go that extra mile. Turn to Turnbull.
I love Mohawk Valley Living.
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 Have a big adventure in Little Falls. Visit Canal Harbor and Rotary Park, rent a kayak and paddle along the Mohawk River and Canal. Catch the Mohawk Valley Diamond Dogs in action. Discover Lock 17 and explore the geological wonder Moss Island. Plan your big adventure in Little Falls. Celebrate fall with the whole family at the 36th Annual Harvest Festival at the Farmers Museum, Saturday and Sunday, September 13th and 14th. See dance groups sample delicious seasonal foods and live music by local bands. Animal lovers will enjoy the alpaca, marvel at the dog agility demonstrations, enjoy horse-drawn wagon rides, or even try milking a cow. There are also free Empire State Carousel rides all weekend long at the 36th Annual Harvest Festival, Saturday and Sunday, September 13th and 14th. Melrose Supermarket is your family hometown market, known for their choice hand-cut meats, homemade breads, and fresh pastas and salads. Check out the weekly specials at Melrose Supermarket, East Main Street in Frankfort. Design it your way at Adirondack Furniture. Whether you're looking for furniture for your bedroom, living room, or dining room, you get to choose your style, wood type, finish, fabric, and hardware. American Made gives you the freedom of choice. Shop Adirondack Furniture for the best quality and price for solid wood furniture made in the USA. Ask about 0% financing and free delivery. Adirondack Furniture, Riverside Center, North Utica, and online at AdirondackHomeFurniture.com. On West Main Street in Little Falls, in the old former Duluth Imperial Flour Building, there's the unmistakable delicious aroma of popcorn. But this isn't just any popcorn. This is Mom and Pop's home-style brand. They have dozens of varieties of gourmet flavored popcorn, and people are hooked.
Well, we started as a hobby in our home. Started with pickling and making spices. Then we found that people really enjoyed the spices we were making. We were sprinkling it on different things and on the popcorn. So we said, well, we'll try it in a local co-op here in Little Falls. So we did that. We started selling it. And from there, it just mushroomed on and on. We kept growing until we finally ended up here, a little bit bigger shop for us. All ag and markets inspected, and that's basically how it started. Popular flavors depends a lot to the area. Little Falls, they really like the dill. In the Mohawk area, they like the butter popcorn. Down towards St. Johnsville, it's mostly kettle corn and that type of thing. So it varies, even within 10 miles, it varies a lot for flavors. Well, I think it has a lot to do with the upbringing, like different segments of society. You might have more German people in one area, maybe more Italian people in another area, and I think that heritage kind of comes through a little bit. Well, my wife Elsie, she does all the production. She does the taste testing. We taste test every single batch. She does the production, the sealing, the bagging. I do the administrative, the management end of it, the supplies ordering, and the mixing of spices as well. It's turned into the perfect retirement. We have our little shop here. We have wonderful customers. They're like family to us. We get cheered when we come in the door. The popcorn's here, so we love it. We have a great time doing it. We love doing it. We do tons of fundraising. We enjoy helping the community back. They've been here for us. They've done a lot for us. We like to give back to the community, so it gives us a good feeling.
Learn more about Mom and Pop's Homestyle brand popcorn at homestylespecialtyfoods.com. There you'll find a list of vendors, including Tom's Natural Foods in Clinton, Brenda's Natural Foods in Rome, and North Star Orchards in Westmoreland. We've been to Moss Island in Little Falls a couple times before, but there's nothing like a guided tour with a geologist. John Stanach is a science teacher at Little Falls High School and also the local expert on the fascinating and unique natural wonder, Moss Island.
Well, Moss Island was a collection of rocks that were upthrust through the Earth's crust anywhere from 250 to 200 million years ago when Europe slammed into North America. And it actually is the oldest exposed rock that you can find anywhere in the United States at about 1.3 years old. So 1,300,000,000 years old. Well, what happened here was you had a place in this area of New York State, in the Little Falls, Central New York area, where this rock was upthrust, forming escarpments of approximately 100 to 150 feet tall that marked a barrier for drainage coming through Central New York. And a pre-glacial lake called Lake Iroquois actually stopped just a little bit to the west of Little Falls, and that extended all the way to the shoreline of Lake Ontario, all the way to Toronto, Canada. So in essence, you had a much larger body of water than Lake Ontario is today that ended at that point where this rock was upthrust about 150 feet above where we're standing. Approximately 15 to 13,000 years ago, as the glaciers began to recede, the meltwater that started to form in this bowl, which would form this lake called Lake Iroquois, began to overflow the rock wall, which we're standing at the base of. And it was the power of that waterfall, which geologists feel was anywhere from 100 to 150 feet tall, probably more on the lower end, began to scour out, using the rocks themselves as tools, these formations that we call potholes in this extremely hard, durable, metamorphic rock, which in itself is a rare feature to see happen. So 50 years ago, back into the Depression, there was a need for wood, and people cut down all the trees on the island, and that left the moss and the blueberry bushes. So when you were walking towards the island, all you would see would be moss, and so the name Moss Island stuck for this particular location. When you start the tour, leaving where Lock 17 is, you start walking up the trail and you see these iron bars that were anchored into the bedrock. And those bars were actually residuals of the construction of the lock, where they had to anchor down the cranes so that they wouldn't tumble into the ditch that they were building, essentially. And so they had chains attached to these rings in the rock that attached themselves to the boom of the cranes to keep them stable. This area is actually registered on the National Registry of Historical Places because of its beauty and the unique geological features. Today it's used by people that hike and want to explore the geology of the area. It's a treasure because there's very few places in the world where you can actually come face to face with these structures that are so intricately carved in the surface of the rock that isn't still buried, or I should say submerged by water and mud at the bottom of the stream. There's no waterfall here anymore, so again, it's easily accessible, and people are often using Moss Island just for the purposes of enjoying the natural beauty that this place offers.
Moss Island is accessible from Canal Place and also from Lock 17. It's best to go when there hasn't been any rain, as the rocks can get very slick. The hike is moderately difficult, and getting down into the potholes can be especially difficult. Be sure to wear sturdy hiking shoes, and this is not recommended for small children. Look for a detailed story about Moss Island in our November issue of Mohawk Valley Living magazine. When planning your family's future, turn to the principles of the past. Turn to Turnbull. Turnbull Insurance Service is an independent agency representing the most dependable companies for all your insurance needs, as well as complete financial planning and wealth management. Call today for a free assessment. Be sure to attend the 33rd Annual Adirondacks National Exhibition of American Watercolors. Ranked one of the best watercolor exhibitions in the country, the exhibit features works by many of the greatest living painters in North America. On display now at View in Old Forge. Whether you're looking to sell or buy your first home, retirement property, farm, or lake house, call River Hills Properties. Agents look forward to meeting with you to present a personalized plan. River Hills Properties, bringing you home. Call 896-1009. Fall fashion begins at the Village Crossing. Shop for the latest in women's attire, jewelry, shoes, and handbags designed to delight. The Village Crossing on the Village Green in Clinton.
Hi, Dr. Tom. Bringing your cat to the Paris Hill Cat Hospital on Sundays is a part of Mohawk Valley Living. Come inside and see why.
Paris Hill Cat Hospital, this is Lindsay. How can I help you? Hello, Mrs. Cole. Your cat is losing weight and you need an appointment? and you're only available on weekends. Sure, I have an available appointment with Dr. Karen Sunday at 2 p.m. Does that fit into your schedule? Okay.
We're open 7 days a week because we know that your cat can become ill anytime. The Paris Hill Cat Hospital, quality care for your cats and kittens.
I, R.A. Dudrak, the Window King, invite you to visit our showroom in Holland Patent, or we'll come to your home by appointment. We've been installing replacement windows for over 45 years. Keep your palace cool in the summer and warm in the winter by adding new windows. Many styles and selections to choose from. Bay, bow, garden, and double hung, single hung, and slider windows. The Window King also introduces color replacement windows. So take a short drive to R.A. Dudrak, Holland Patent, and tell them the Window King sent you.
Expecting company? Just call Deansboro Superette. They prepare delicious Middle Eastern platters for any number of guests. Call 841-4377. Buy the bushel and save at North Star Orchards. Take advantage of summer's bounty and stock up now for freezing and canning. Pick a peck of peppers. Choose from 8 varieties. Enjoy sweet nectarines and peaches from New York and Pennsylvania. Buy the bushel and save at North Star Orchards in Westmoreland.
I think I lost something somewhere along.
When you come here to Little Falls, stop in at Holy Family Parish Church, and while you're here, take a close look at all of the stained glass windows. They were made in England, and people who have been around the world and have come to this church comment that these stained glass windows are equal to, if not superior to, many that are found in Europe. For me, this has a very important connection to my life because one of my daughters was married in this church, and I can remember walking down this very aisle.
The church was originally built in Cornerstone. The foundation was begun in this church right here in 1874. The cornerstone was laid in 1878. It took a year and a half to build a church with local masons, and all the stone on the outside of the church is local stone quarried outside of Little Falls. And the first Mass was on Christmas Day in 1879. Back in the 1800s, this was a predominantly Irish parish, and by far. And a lot of the Irish became very wealthy as far as businessmen, factory owners, etc. And most of the things that are right in this area right here were donated to the church by one man by the name of, he was a trustee by the name of Dennis Collins. He donated the main altar in 1900. And it's made out of Italian marble and Mexican onyx. In 1905 and 6, he donated the 2 side altars. Later on, he donated some of the stained glass windows and various other things that are found in the church here.
There's a strength inside the people here, quiet, proud, and strong. Hearts that reach out so long, so far to help each other along. Well,
Little Falls is known for many things. One of the lesser known facts is this. Back in 1940, the New York Central was coming through Little Falls, and the engineer failed to slow down on one of the sharpest curves in the New York Central system. As a result of that, the train jumped the tracks and 31 people died. One of the people who died was P.O. Becker, and what was he? He was a toy train maker. It was such a national tragedy that it was covered by Time magazine, and even 50 years later, there was this marker that was placed as a reminder of what happened here. As a result of this tragic accident, the angle of the curve here had to be changed, and that also included having to change the course of the Mohawk River, which back then, imagine this, back in 1940, that cost $2.5 million.
You knew everything and told me what was right. There was day trips and fishing trips and camping and Saranac Lake. Long gone the innocence, I surely miss those days. It's been a long, long time for me. Been twice as long for you. It's been a long and winding ride.
while you're in downtown Little Falls, be sure to stop in here to the post office. It has been here for more than 100 years. The lobby is the original lobby with all of the woodwork and the beautiful windows. Come here this Saturday before noon. There's going to be a special stamp cancellation commemorating the canal celebration.
Maria Felice, one who brought me life, taught me love's the only way to survive. Maria, you couldn't give me more. I'm like an ocean and you're like the shore. I believe that it won't be long.
Be sure to head downtown during your Little Falls visit for a break at Il Cafe. Tucked right below 500 East Main Street, this great little breakfast and lunch cafe features homemade food and pastries and fresh roasted coffee.
You can't go wrong with anything you choose here, because right from roasting their own beef to cooking their own chicken, everything is started from scratch, and it is homemade, and it is absolutely out of this world. And it continues with the desserts, from the homemade cheesecake to the sweetbreads and pastries, anything and everything. They're all made right here on the premises, and they're made from desserts that were handed down from great aunts all the way back in Italy. It is, I'm telling you, worth a trip to Little Falls just to sample the desserts.
The secret of making good food would be consistency, using the best ingredients, and have a real passion for what you're doing. I'm not classically trained. It's just something that I enjoy doing. It was mostly a hobby, and I just picked it up and kept going with it.
And you have a good sidekick too.
I do. She's a very good cook. She's had bakers in her family for years, and her father actually gave me that passion to see food for what it was. And Gina's been a very, very big influence on me.
Nobody wonder about the heartbreaking, what it did singing. Honey, honey, I got to know you. Ain't got no money, but I got plenty to show you. Honey, honey, meet me on the river road. Chi-chi Raposo got a head like a bean.
The Steet Ponte Auto Group is proud to bring Mohawk Valley Living to you each week, serving the Utica area and the Valley with outstanding customer service. In Yorkville at Steet Ponte Ford Lincoln Mazda, Steet Ponte Volkswagen, and Steet Toyota Scion. And in Herkimer at Steet Ponte Chevrolet. Stop in and see why it's so easy to do business with Steet Ponte. Visit Brenda's Natural Foods in their brand new, bigger location, right down the street at 236 West Dominic Street in Rome. Brenda's Natural Foods, something good and a lot of it.
Hi, welcome to the Little Falls Antique Center in the shops at 25 West. We have 2 full floors with 50 vendors of interesting and unique products ranging from specialized to very eclectic, primitive to the not so primitive. Remember, shop local, we're worth the trip.
Call Yannick Excavating for all your residential and commercial projects, from new construction and land clearing to septic systems, driveways, basements, ponds, and topsoil. Visit YannickExcavating.com. When you shop Meelan's Market, you'll be the grill master. That's because every hot dog, beef patty, and sausage is made by Bob Meelan himself. Find everything for your next cookout, from store-made meats to fresh salads and tabbouleh, at Meelan's Market at the Four Corners in Clark Mills. Oscar's Picture Framing offers hand-finished molding and restoration of antique frames, preserving artwork, pictures, needlework, and memorabilia. Oscar's Picture Framing, Kellogg Road, New Hartford. Tom's Natural Foods is your connection to local farms for natural and organic fruits and vegetables, meats, eggs, cheeses, and other milk products. At Tom's Natural Foods in Clinton, naturally. We head out into the countryside of Cooperstown, to France. Or at least French chocolate and pastries of Le Morey Chocolat. Leslie Burliant has a commercial kitchen in her home where she makes her chocolate and holds cooking classes. Although she has been cooking since she was a child, she never dreamed it would be a career.
It was really not something I had planned for. I actually had gone to Haiti after the earthquake, and friends of mine wanted to help me raise money. I'd gotten involved in some orphanages there, and they wanted to do these shopping days around the holidays, and I thought, oh, well, I need to participate. What can I bring? oh, everybody loves my holiday truffles. I'll make chocolate truffles. And the first year, a lot of my friends bought them, and, you know, of course they said nice things. But the second year we did it, people I didn't know started buying them. And all of a sudden I had an order for 15 dozen from Texas, and a professional chef bought a couple hundred to bring to Chicago. And some friends of friends who really didn't know me came over and sat me down and said, you're crazy if you don't do this as a business. And that's how it started. It really started as a way to raise money for these orphanages and turned into a business, and we still give a percentage to charity. You know, I always sort of in the back of my head thought I want to do this, but my brothers were musicians and I was the smart one. So, you know, I was going a much more traditional path, and when this happened, I could not have been happier to discover that not only the cooking I had been doing since probably before I could talk with my mother, who's an incredible chef, was actually going to turn into a career, but this thing that I really loved, which was food and travel, and the idea that people gather around the love of great food could be a regular part of my life has been really an absolute joy.
You can find Le Morey Chocolat at the Clinton Farmers Market and the Fromagerie in Clinton. To order or to take classes, visit lemoreychocolat.com.
Moss-covered rods, water that's freezing, warm summer breeze, shores, leaves, and sunshine.
We leave Cooperstown and head northeast to Fly Creek. It's apple cider season, so that means a visit to the Fly Creek Cider Mill. Here you can sample over 40 different products every day. And on the weekends, enjoy the Taste of Fly Creek series of specialty tastings. Today is Be My Honey Day. There are also New York cheeses and their famous fudge in so many flavors. And here, chocolate and apples come together in an autumn time treat. There are so many different things they can do with apples. Their newest creation is Apple Frost Sweet Cider Wine, as well as hard cider, and of course everyone's favorite, apple cider. This year there are apples galore. Currently there are 8 varieties to choose from, and 6 more are coming throughout the season at the Fly Creek Cider Mill.
What it is singing. Honey, honey, I got to know you. Ain't got no money, but I got plenty to show you. Honey, honey, me be on the river road. Chichi Raposo got a head like a beam. He steers a T-bird like you never seen. Picks up the young ones